Hey, Nicole Huntsman here from moderncosmic.com. Today we have a really fun video. I'm doing a series here. This is part of a series, so if you like this one, there are more that go with it. We are going to look at some timing techniques to see in your love life when you will either meet someone or if you're in a relationship, kind of the flavor of the relationship. If things are sort of Dullsville, you can see when they'll pick up. If things are sort of, if you're fighting a lot, you can see when that transit will pass. It's just really helpful to give some insight on wherever you're at in relationship. So with this particular video, we're going to start with the Fling Trigger. And before I get into that, I want to let you know, if you're watching this video, I assume you have an understanding of birth charts. You need to have a basic knowledge and understanding of a birth chart and how to read one. You've got to know enough to know what a cusp is, how to locate a cusp, how to locate the sign that the cusp falls into, how to locate the ruler of that sign, because that's what this technique uses, okay? All right, so if you don't have a birth chart and you need one, you want to get access to one really quickly, you can come to my site. Also, if you ever want a personal reading, click here, you can get access to my schedule and get on my schedule and I can read for you. I read for people from all over the world. I have someone from Russia, someone from India this weekend. You know, I've read for someone from China, from different places. So anyway, you can sign up here if you want to get a reading. Otherwise, come put your info in here, your email address, your first name, and this actually gets you access to my newsletter, which I'm not a newsletter. I haven't even started using this yet, but I will be using this to send a weekly forecast. It's the forecast video that I do on YouTube, and some other cool little goodies. As I find fun things, I'll be sending them to you, but I'm not going to spam you, and I wouldn't share your information with anyone. It's just, I don't have time for that, you know? So if this doesn't work for you, you can also go to astro.com. I'm choosing to use this birth chart, which happens to be my birth chart, from astro.com because it doesn't, it's not interactive, and the chart on my site is interactive. You click on things and it pulls up a little report telling you what the different parts of your birth chart mean. So it's a fun little cool tool. But once you've got to astro.com, okay, you can go to free horoscopes. You can actually just go to chart drawing and it will just, I don't even think you have to open an account. You can get a free guest account, but I don't even think you have to do that to the chart drawing. You just put your info in. You will need birth time to use this technique, of course, because we're using houses, and you'd know that if you know that you need your birth time, you should be here. If you didn't know that you needed your birth time, then you should go to my website, actually. Go here to learn, and go here to Astro 101, and there's some basics about astrology. So, okay. Onward with our fun little technique. So this is called the Fling Trigger. I'm going to go ahead and put this up on the website. This little, I'll make a little template for you, so you have a place to, but minus my information. I'll leave that blank so you can fill it out for yourself. But with the Fling Trigger, we are looking at our fifth house. Now, our fifth house is the house of creativity, pleasure. It's the house of children even. This is the house of the lovers. If you use the Tarot, this would be the house of the lover card, you know. I mean, technically, you know, you could say the seventh house is the lovers because it's quite Libran. But I think of the fifth house as like if the lovers and the sun card had a child, that would be the fifth house, okay? So this means it's passionate, it's playful, it is not necessarily the committed relationship. So if you're looking for a fling or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but you're not necessarily looking for a long-term relationship, or and this kind of covers everything from even just like purely sexual relationship, friends with benefit relationship, kind of all of these things fall in the fifth house. Now, if you want to know the flavor of this relationship, then we're going to use this technique, okay? So we're going to look at, we go to the fifth house, we look at the cusp ruler of the fifth house, which here's the fifth house, here's the cusp, and it falls into Sagittarius. The ruler of the zodiac sign Sagittarius is Jupiter, okay? So in your chart, find that ruler, whichever it is for you. You need to obviously know the rulerships of the zodiac signs. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to make a note of the degree of the planet first. So for me, it's Jupiter, and the degree happens to be 4 degrees, and it's in the zodiac sign of Cancer. So for me, anytime I have 4 degrees of Cancer or 4 degrees of any cardinal sign or water sign, which includes all of these signs, then I have activity, okay? So the question is, what type of activity? All right, so let's look at my current transits. So we'll remove my transits. I got them on here. When you're on astro.com, you know, when you pull up a chart, it looks like this. If you want to see it with transits, click on that, the transit with transits button. Okay, I got all kinds of crazy fun stuff happening, and I'm saying that facetiously, but with my transits to my trigger, my Jupiter. First of all, it should be noted that having Jupiter as the ruler of the fifth house would suggest that anytime my Jupiter is activated, there's an optimism, there's a buoyancy to the way that I approach the fifth house, okay? So when my Jupiter is activated by perhaps some benefic planets like Venus, or perhaps I have a Venus making, let's say we've got Venus conjunct my Jupiter, and then we have a lovely full moon that maybe it'd be kind of fun if you had, you know, Venus here, and then you had a lovely Libra, Aries full moon, and that all happening at the same time, making a yummy little activation of my Jupiter. That could be a time maybe when I meet someone, and it's a very quick, spontaneous attraction, okay? Now, well, that'd be great. It's not exactly what's happening in my life right now. My life is pretty boring. I mean, I'm, you know, I don't mean that like that, but just, you know, it's like a grown-up, normal life. My boyfriend is wonderful, but we're both really busy lately with work. So you can see it reflected in my chart. Come down here, look at the transits. Look at your trigger, look at the degree your trigger's at. Mine is that 4-degree Cancer, Jupiter. So first, just to make this easier on yourself, just look at the degree. So in the transit, look at this first number, that's the degree. Okay, so just look for anything that's, for me, it's going to be anything that's 5 degrees leading up to the number of your of the planet that your trigger point is, and then 3 degrees separating. If you really want to know if it's approaching and it's going to be happening, the event, then you're going to want to look at anything that is previous to the number of your trigger. That makes sense. Afterwards, it's going to show it's sort of separating or lessening in power. It's waning. So for me, we've got a lovely. So funny. I'm going to tell you what this means for me in a sec, but we previously had, of course, Saturn's been in Sagittarius. So Saturn has been quincunxing. It's been making this quincunx to my Jupiter. And a Saturn-Jupiter quincunx is considered a minor aspect, but I actually think that with, in particular, Saturn on out, with those planets, when they're making aspects to really, I would say Jupiter on inward, Jupiter towards to the sun, then you have a significant, you feel this, it's uncomfortable, okay? Saturn's restrictive, it's pulling back, it's slowing down, it's restricting. The trigger that rules the zodiac sign of my house of pleasure, okay? And at the same time, Saturn is also making this trine to my moon, which is kind of a sobering, it's working, it's being responsible, it's kind of focusing on your duties. My moon is in the 8th house, so it can be kind of a stressful time, like you're, you know, maybe finishing something up and starting something else. It can be emotional. And then at the same time, that Saturn is also squaring my Venus. So that's kind of my love life pleasure, right? That's the past stuff. And also making a sextile to my sun. So Saturn's really active in my chart right now because I have a lot of early degrees, a lot of planets in early degrees of fire signs or of mutable signs. So not so fun, right? And then you got Neptune over here. And Neptune is at, I believe, yeah, 7 degrees, of course, of Pisces. So Neptune is also, it's making this little kind of trine to my Jupiter, which Neptune is like walking through a pink fog. You can't see where you're going. You're just not sure about things. So it's kind of, can be like a holding pattern. So I'm seeing someone right now, a really amazing person, but we don't know long-term what we're going to be doing with work. He travels a lot and probably will be traveling quite a bit this next year. You know, so it's like, you're just kind of going with it. You don't know what to expect, and you're just rolling with things, okay? So, and at the same time, having Saturn apply to the Sun and to the Venus, and it's soon will be applying to Mars, it's sort of, I have been lately tired, or it can also, to the Moon, it's been making me, I've been joking about having an existential crisis, okay? So all of these things combined sort of make the 5th house not so active, like not really playing a lot right now. And I was actually just saying barely to my boyfriend that I need to be laughing more and having fun more because it's been all work and no play. So hopefully for you, let's talk about for you something that will be exciting. If you've got a transit by Jupiter, Mars, Venus, or the Moon, okay, activating the trigger of your 5th house, and then you've got something happening in that area. But this is what I like to see. I like to see at least one of the planets from Jupiter You know, it could be Jupiter, it could be Uranus would be kind of unexpected fling or even a non-committal kind of a thing. And then maybe Neptune even, you know, I've got Neptune to mine. Neptune to the trigger could be quite romantic or soulful, but it might not, it's almost unconscious. It doesn't really know where it's going. So it could be a time where you meet someone where you're in a relationship where, like I said, with my personal relationship, just, you know, rolling with it, going with the flow. Okay, very Piscean Neptune that we have. Okay, and then, what else I was going to tell you? Okay, Okay, so if you have Mars, let's say, so you have Mars activating the trigger of your 5th house, that's going to play out like it's quite passionate. That could be a time where you, in fact, I think that was around the time that I met my current boyfriend, was when Mars was here. You know, it's this time where it is, and it's very impulsive. It's like I say Mars is like shooting off a gun to start a race. So ready, set, go. It's like, go, now take action. So if you've got that directly conjoining the trigger, then you're definitely probably making some sort of forward steps in your love life. If you, like me, have this very interesting thing happening where we've got Mars, it's in Libra, transiting Mars is in Libra, right? And it's squaring my Jupiter. Okay, so when you have a square, that's an uncomfortable kind of combo, right? It's throwing more the shadow side of Mars, the aggression or the irritability or the, you know, a sense of, it can make you feel restless, okay, especially to Jupiter. You have that happening, but you also have Saturn restricting and pulling back on the trigger. That means in my love life, it could be that I'm frustrated, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? So because of working all the time, I'm working like a dog lately, so many hours, and I feel like I can't play and have fun ever, you know. So like today, in fact, the last 2 days, I've had this really strong desire to exercise, and I've just been busy with work. I haven't been able to, but I'm going to try and get out there tonight. But so look at the way they all sort of play together, okay? If you've got a Venus, a lovely, lovely, lovely Venus thing happening to your trigger, I actually had that not too long ago, and it was right around, I think it was around the time of my birthday, right after, thereafter. It's just nice and romantic. Yeah, it was after my birthday. But it's just a pleasant, enjoyable sort of period of time. If you're not in a relationship, it could be a time where you meet someone where there's this congeniality and this kind of really, you just like each other. There's this natural kind of harmony between the two of you. You know, Venus feels different than Mars. If you meet someone while Mars is trining, let's say Mars was trining your Venus or conjoining your Venus, really. That's, like I said, that's more passionate. It's more of a sexual heat for the 5th house, okay? Now on to what else we got. If it's the moon, for me, if it was the moon, you'd have to have other things making aspects to that trigger planet, okay, at the same time. The moon by itself is not enough to really get something to happen because it's only there for a short period of time, right? The moon's moving, moving, moving. So, and then if you've got transits by Saturn, just like I do, transits by Saturn to your trigger are going to slow it down or restrict it or place this sort of element of it's the critical father, and the 5th house is the house of the divine child. So it's like the rules or the, you know, you're playing too much, you need to get back to work, you know. So it can be a time where it can slow down your current love life, or it can be a time where you need to hermit if you're single. It's a time where you need to wait. It's a kind of a waiting cycle. So as you can see, it can be quite complicated. That's why I have an astrologer. If you want to have a reading done, I'd love to read for you. We do birth chart reading first, and then if you want to do transit reading, we can do your solar return along with transits like this, where we can really focus and drill down on your love life or work or soul purpose or whatever you want to look at. So join me for the next video. We'll do, the next one's going to be on the coupling trigger. That's a big one. Okay, talk to you soon, and hope to see you on the next video. All right, have a good one. Bye.